Alright, so today we're going to be putting up a wall decal, and I'm going to be using my Cricut Joy machine so that I can cut it very long. I'm actually going to be cutting this over 3 feet, or about 3 feet long, just under 3 feet long. If you would like this exact phrase, you can find it below this video. If you'd like to type out your own, you could follow the same process. You would just type your own out using the text tool here, and then arrange it as you wish according to how you're going to style it on your wall, and then you can go ahead and follow the same process. So like I said, I am going to be using my Cricut Joy machine, so I'm going to make sure that that is what is selected in my design space because I do have more than one machine. And then I'm going to click on the Make It button. Now with the Cricut Joy machine, it's going to position it long ways like this, and I'm going to be using Smart Removable Vinyl. So I'm going to be selecting the Smart Removable Vinyl. You should see that under Popular Settings when you go to the next screen. So everything is properly rotated for me here, and I'm going to be cutting on the Smart Removable Vinyl so that it cuts matless and it can easily do this length. So let's go ahead and load our Cricut Joy machine. Okay, so since this is going on my wall, I'm using Smart Removable Vinyl with my Joy machine. So let's go ahead and load that onto our cutting machine. When your Joy is flashing, that means it's ready to be loaded. So I'm going to press this against the rollers, and then it's going to measure the material. Once your Joy machine is done measuring your material, then it'll flash again, and on Cricut Design Space, you'll be able to press the Go button and it will proceed with the cut. Okay, so we've successfully done this cut. Now at this point there's a lot of spare material here, so I'm going to trim all of this down so that only the part that I actually cut out in letters is going to be weeded. Okay, so now I'm going to start weeding. I'm going to start on one end and use a weeding tool to pull up my vinyl. Now go really slow and make sure that everything is staying on the liner that should be, and that nothing is lifting off that needs to be on that liner. So just go nice and slow. Alright, so here is our design. I just need to go in and weed out some of these letters like the O's and B's and stuff. You can use what's called a weeding berry and have a little item on your desk. This little item here will stick on your desk and you can weed right in. You can also use a nail polish holder that goes on your finger. Just a little extra hack for you. Okay, there we go. Next up is to transfer this design with transfer tape. So I have a very large roll of transfer tape here, and I'm going to just trim it down to size, starting first with the length here. Flip this over, and I'm going to trim all that extra transfer tape off. Alright, so now we need to remove our transfer tape here. Now, if you're dealing with something that's extremely long like this, I recommend starting the transfer tape like so, and then trimming this part off, and then start the transfer tape on one end and work it off of its liner. That way you're not trying to deal with a really long, sticky piece, and you're able to just roll it right on there. Next step here is to burnish your design. Burnish is just a fancy term for rubbing your design so that it sticks to the transfer tape. I'm using a Cricut scraper here. You can also use a credit card. Make sure you also flip the design over and burnish it from the back as well. Now most people think that you should lift your transfer tape up this way. You actually want to peel the liner away from the transfer tape. That way it has a better chance of staying down. Now, with smart materials, when you're transferring, the liner is much thicker because it had to cut without a mat. So it can be a little bit challenging to get the liner to release the transfer tape. So what I always do is anywhere where it's not sticking, I crease it with my thumb, press down, and then slowly roll it back, and that releases it onto the tape. So you basically want to crease, press, and roll back for each letter if it's not going right away, and then it will release for you. Still important that you go through the process of burnishing the front and back. The reason being is that's getting all the air and the bubbles out between the liner and the transfer tape, which will make this process of pressing and creasing and then rolling back much more effective. You'll find certain designs will not need as much creasing as others. I find the letters tend to be a little bit more problematic sometimes. If you're doing a large design that is more solid or has like solid layers to it and not as many pieces, then it often isn't quite as. Okay, so once you get everything transferred onto that transfer tape, I am putting this up onto my wall, and I'm putting this above a whiteboard that is in my kitchen, and it's going to be where my kids' like school stuff goes. So I kind of press the transfer tape against the wall, and I step down and I look back to make sure it's straight and that it's not at a weird angle. And then once I'm happy with that, I start pressing the design fully to the wall, and I use that scraper tool, that Cricut scraper tool, to burnish the design as I'm removing the transfer tape. You want to really work to move that transfer tape back at like a 180-degree angle straight back so that it really wants to cling to the wall, and use that scraper tool to just press the design to the wall and work slowly until you've released your decal onto the wall. And since this is removable vinyl, you will be able to easily take it down at any time if you would like to replace it with something else or just get rid of it altogether. So I made this full school station for my kids, and this was the phrase that went above it. It was just a little reminder for them to always do their best, and what they can't do, God will do the rest. And if you'd like to get the phrase yourself, that is linked below this video. Here's how that school station turned out, and I really loved it, and it keeps me nice and organized during the school year. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.